We welcome back Senator Rick Scott, chair of the Republican National Senatorial Committee, Senator from Florida, former governor of Florida. Rick Scott, thank you, Senator. Look, I'm interested in as much as anything as moving forward. We had Newt Gingrich on earlier talking about the opportunity. You took the House, not you, but we, Republicans, conservatives, took the House. They have an opportunity to end big government socialism. Art Laffer was on at the very beginning of the show talking about how the GOP has to once again be the steward of a prosperous economy. So that's kind of where I want to go with you. And just tell me what you're thinking and what you're hearing, because to me, the future, okay, what's done is done. The future holds what for the GOP?
Well, first off, we've got to win Georgia. The last 2 days I've been down campaigning with Herschel Walker down in Georgia. When we can win that seat, it's a 50-50 Senate. It means we share governance. It means that there's no Democrat senators that are going to be off the hook for their radical spending programs, things like that. So my focus right now is we got to help Herschel win. If you want to help us, you can donate, volunteer, go to teamherschel.com, teamherschel.com, teamherschel.com. So the big thing now is win Georgia. So that's what we're doing. And then let's talk about, you know, what can we do to make sure people know exactly what we run on? Why support us? We're going to balance a budget. We're going to stop this debt ceiling increase. We're going to make sure we preserve Social Security and Medicare. We're going to make sure you have a great job. All of these things. We got to talk about how do we build a better economy? Because guess what? We have no money for anything without a good economy. I cut taxes and fees 100 times as governor of Florida, and it gave us the resources because our economy grew for education, for the environment, for transportation, all these things. And so that's what we've got to do federally.
Senator Scott, you and I'm going to say 10 other or so Senate Republicans, speaking of Herschel Walker in Georgia, would like to see the GOP Senate leadership races postponed until the midterms are over, including Georgia. Is that still your view? And what's going to happen on that?
Well, it doesn't make sense to, you know, we all our focus ought to be on Georgia right now. So we ought to be focused on that. We don't know. We've got, you know, still have election in Alaska. We still have, hopefully we're going to win in Georgia. So why would we rush into these elections? So a lot of us have said we need to wait and let's talk about what we can do going forward to make sure we win in 24. And that's it. You know, that's who our leaders ought to be. Who's got the best ideas to make sure we can govern well and win in 24.
Are you yourself backing Mitch McConnell? I don't recall.
Well, look, I think we ought to have to figure out, like you, Larry, I think what we have to do is say, what do we do going forward? And that's what I want to do. I want to focus on how do we go forward.
All right, you want to wait and see and then go forward. Look, you have also been critical, and I share this to some extent. Republican senators voted for a lot of big spending bills. And I always argued it diluted the message. I said it to some very dear friends of mine who were senators, good conservative senators. I'm not going to rename names here, but I thought the $300 billion semiconductor bill, I thought the infrastructure bill, all this Green New Deal stuff, that diluted the GOP message, it seems to me.
Well, I've gone all around the country campaigning with our candidates, and what they're hearing is that people say, come on, you know, when you vote to raise the debt ceiling or you vote for spending with no accountability, I mean, you know, what are we getting by electing you? And when that happens, so like, take somebody like Marco Rubio, who's running in Florida. When this stuff is passing, something he didn't support, how does it help him win his race? So I think we have to have a real conversation about what types of bills should we work on going forward.
Does it hurt or help? Let me come back to Herschel Walker, because I agree with you. The power sharing is very important. If I'm not mistaken, there's power sharing at the staff level also in a 50-50 Senate. If Mr. Trump announces his candidacy for president tomorrow evening, which is what people are reporting, does that hurt or help Herschel Walker?
Who knows? I think everybody realizes that President Trump is going to run for re-election. So whether he announces tomorrow or he announces in December, I think everybody realizes he's going to run. I think the people of Georgia, as I talked to them, and we had a big turnout today and a big turnout yesterday, what they're focused on is they want a Republican senator, somebody like Herschel Walker is going to represent their state. Raphael Warnock now represents New York. He's the third or fourth senator from New York because he votes 100% of the time with Chuck Schumer. So he doesn't vote to reduce prices and things. He's fine big spending. He's voted against border security. He's not supported our military. He's done nothing to get rid of the drug problems in this country. So they want somebody that's going to represent what they believe in.
Was it a mistake, Senator Scott, for the GOP Senate leadership to reject any kind of commitment to America, a contract with America, a future agenda? Was it a mistake? And would now, whatever happens in Georgia and so forth going forward, would it be a good idea for Republican senators? You're going to have the advantage in defense in 2024 to tell the public what they believe in, what their agenda is going to be on the economy, on the border, and so forth and so on?
Well, Larry, I'm a business guy, so I clearly believe in it because I couldn't raise money from a bank or from an investor if I couldn't tell them how I was going to spend it. You got to tell people how you're going to spend their money. So if you want their vote or if you want their donation, you got to say, hey, I'm going to focus on these things. As you know, I put out a plan, rescueamerica.com. I believe in that. I know Kevin McCarthy worked really hard over in the House. I think we've got to fight over ideas and then stand up for our ideas. And that's why people are going to vote for us.
All right. We'll leave it there. Senator Rick Scott, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.